Good afternoon, Alan.
Good afternoon.
It's so nice to have you with us today. Thank you so much for making time on the last day of 2020.
That's a good way to celebrate uh, a year that's been a bit weird, but it's been a year.
Oh, it has been weird everywhere, but in a way, it has been interesting too. Anyway, I have a few questions for you today, and I'm very excited to hear your point of view on actually this year, what happened this year, and how it changed everything. And
Perfect.
plus, I'm excited to hear about your new collection and all of that. Tell me about what are you working on right now, and what is your latest collection, and how what's the source of inspiration for that latest your latest collection, and what does it represent to you?
So the latest collection is called Climax, um, and the inspiration came from it's actually been this. It's all about this year. The collection was actually born in response to this uncertain time because we see ourselves in right now. Um, it was my way to conceptualize how I go about adapting new realities, whether they are imposed on me or not. So climax was about change, exploring surroundings, like venturing yourselves into the unknown. Um, and since 2020, for many people, was considered like a canceled year, for me, I feel like it was a year considered about transformation. Um, and I'm saying this because everything about this, it's how the collection came together. I feel like as a global community, we were forced to look beyond ourselves and our needs, and become aware of like bigger things than ourselves. So climax was about like because of like we were more aware of like climate change and Black Lives Matter, and I felt like this year was like a wake up call, and it brought about passion and climax. I wrote a poem like a long time ago that is there's this line that it says, bodies dripping sweat, the heat is pumped from the heart, strangers dance according to the beat of the heart. So it was all about heart. And in this collection, um, I used drop shaped cabochon crystals to mock sweat, and the whole idea would feel like what it would be like to preserve them is in a piece of jewelry, reminding us that like it's about the collective fight for justice, love, passion, and healing. In this fight, every single drop counts. Every single drop is precious. So that's why I try to mock the sweat.
Wow, you gave me goosebumps. It's really beautiful what you just said, and I cannot wait to see the collection and how you materialize all this emotion and all that realities that we lived through this 2020. It's very
Yeah,
well put, actually. I've spoken to many designers, and they're all going through this soul searching, going back and see what is important and what is not important, and what
yeah.
how we are going to produce and produce responsibly, and how we are going to continue, and how we are going to care about our climate, and so on. Very well put. Thank you for sharing that.
Well,
It,
how also like, it's like how we put our energy in like uh, making sure that our productions are being done in a fair way where we paying people well. So it's not about like quantity anymore. Like I feel like it's about quality and like giving people the opportunity to work at their best and being valued as well.
exactly. I agree with you 100%. I hope that everyone in our industry, at least, think like you and act like you. I'm very proud to represent you in Toronto, and you are one of the most unexpected, imaginative, creative, and talented jewelry designer I've ever met. And you are
Yeah.
exceptional. Every time I see a piece of your jewelry, first of all, I don't know, it just moved me so much, and it's something behind it that is it extreme art, which is fantastic. Tell me, how did you?
That I mean that means a lot to me. Like, and I'm super happy for you saying this because I never started like the brand or I start a collection with the simple idea of creating like, oh, I'm gonna make an earring. Like they all have a story behind them, so they all mean so much to me in a certain way because they weren't just a product of like just doing for the sake of it. They have a story and they belong to a context and then they're passed on to people so it can belong to their context. So,
Exactly. Yeah, it's a piece of art, and art never dies. I mean, we still look at the pieces of art of Egyptian empire and Roman, and we still admire them if they have artistic value. Your pieces have artistic value, so hopefully for
thank you.
generation people will keep them because it's actually represent our time. You're one of those designers that you capture our time in an imaginative way that just a few other designer can are capable of doing that. And I'm not just saying
It
that
makes me
to
blush.
say something. No, you are
I,
amazing.
I like to like, because people talk about a lot about like with me sometimes about tradition and like if I base a lot of my work. Sorry, do you want to keep with the questions? Or
No,
it's
go ahead. It's a conversation. It's a free conversation, and I love it that way.
no, because it's like a lot of times like with even interviews and stuff, I get a lot I get questioned a lot about tradition and how if traditional jewelry has influenced me somehow. And I don't come from a jewelry background, so I think directly speaking, it hasn't. I like to think that what I do is not traditional, and I don't really like the word tradition in a way because tradition till now has always like perpetuated oppression in some sort of way. And I like to think that what I do is like breaking some kind of values and creating new classics. It's not like disregarding what people did in the past, but it's just like trying to make people see things with a different light.
That brings me to my next question. You just mentioned a little bit of about your background, but I know a little too. I mean, so little about your background. Tell
Yeah.
me, what is your background in art and in what did you do before, and how did you decide to be a jewelry designer?
It's fun. I mean, I started fashion school in Brazil, and then my parents went bankrupt and they couldn't really afford the university or anything, and I had like we kind of lost everything, and then I had to find a way of doing everything myself. I always wanted to study at Centro San Martins, and I had an Italian passport because my family's father's side is Italian, and I was just like, I sold my car, and that money I moved to Europe and I started, working in restaurants, bars, and then I applied to St. Martin's. But before I applied to St. Martin's, when I left school, I worked in at retail shops, and I paid for a technical course of 2 years before I moved to Europe. So when I moved to Europe, I applied to Centro St. Martin's, and I got in. I couldn't even believe. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I studied women's wear. I had some difficulties throughout it because I was by myself. Like I never had like financial support, and I managed to get some from the government. I mean, in the end, I had to like I dropped out on my final year just before, like I was doing my final collection, and then I before I had it in my head that I needed to create everything. So for my final collection, I created the jewelry, the clothes, the bags, like, everything, which was my downfall as well, because I obviously you can't just make everything. And when I had to leave, um, I started this passion with the jewelry that um, I knew it was there, but I never really nurtured it before. And when I was in school, like a tutor, I remember he was just like, "But why are you doing with all this jewelry? Like, why pay attention on the clothes?" And I'm like, "I'm actually very into jewelry now. Like, so I don't know. I want to incorporate." And that person that I'm not going to say the name, they said, "But there's just so much you can do with jewelry." And I was like, no, in my head I was just like, okay, I need to, it's not just proving him wrong, but it's kind of like there is a niche there that is like I can't find what I like. In a way, I feel like the 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 market and what we used to see is like men not being taken as seriously regarding jewelry, and like not having the possibility to actually see other men wearing them, because jewelry, like, you just need ears, a neck, like, it's not like bras that you need breasts. So I never really understood why men had so little being, given to them. So that's why I started like always like representing and putting everything in men, because I felt like they needed to see that it's okay for everyone to wear whatever they want. And a pearl earring, a diamond earring, it does not mean feminine. It does not mean masculine. It's a piece, a beautiful piece that like anyone can wear, and whatever it represents to you, whatever character you want to be, whatever personality you have, whatever, like, it's
Mhm,
all about you. It's not about us, the brands, to say this is for women, this is for men. I
mhm.
feel like it's not really up to us. It's up to the customer to decide. So I
Exactly.
wanted to make it very like so men and women could see that it's the same piece.
Perfect. Perfect put. Yeah.
But then I had to start like learning like in a non-methodical way, because like I didn't go to school to learn jewelry. So I started working with jewelers here in London, and I got my first fashion week presentation. The first year I started working with jewelry, I didn't know anything. Like I had to pretend that I knew. I mean, I was still literally even finding myself as a jewelry designer, as what I had to say, like, because you're so young, you don't know. But all this process is kind of like it's a school as well on its own.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how it started.
It's a great journey, right?
Yeah, it
Great.
was it was very good how it happened.
So tell me, is there any piece among many? I know you've created so many beautiful pieces that I can just see them in my mind. But is there any one that you personally can call it your favorite among all the collection?
It's so hard.
Oh, okay, I agree.
So,
Like your
I
children,
mean,
you
I
cannot.
mean, I can say, I mean, there are loads of pieces that I think that are my favorite in aesthetically
Mhm.
speaking. But I would say like I love the pieces that they have my logo in it, because my logo came from this. The logo is the scorpion with the rose
Yes.
on the tail instead of the stinger.
Mhm.
It's because of the message that I really wanted my brand to represent. It's like I've always been like obsessed with both scorpions and roses, and what I try to like say with my brand is like I basically took two beautiful vulnerable but very powerful creatures, and then I stripped off of their weapons somehow and just leave the fragility of them both together in a hybrid way, because I believe that sensitivity is a weapon that, you know, people sometimes they don't take seriously, but it can be as powerful as a an atomic bomb.
Wow, you're a poet, Alan. Oh, you're so poetic.
Thank you.
Looking at
And
your pieces,
yeah,
I knew there are something more to them, but I never had this opportunity to sit with you one in one. And I've always seen your agents, to see how you're explaining how you how you create. It's very poetic. Thank you for sharing that.
I love. I mean, I feel like, you know, even when my work, sometimes people think it's a bit. I got censored a lot in Instagram before, but like I feel like sometimes people don't stop to pay attention that there is poetry and like I'm more based on poetry and art than trying to like be um, out there. Like I never do things just to like just for shock value. I I I think that would be very empty. It would make me empty. So there's always something behind, if that makes sense.
It has been an honor interviewing you. It was one of the most moving interview I've ever done. Thank you so much, Alan. Do you want
Thank
to
you for your
say
time.
something? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you for having me at Archives.
We are honored to have you, and hopefully,
I hope that
hopefully one.
go and like see you guys and go to the store.
Yes, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Do you want to add anything to your followers? Because I don't have any question for you. You say things so wonderfully. I don't. I think I want you to just say whatever you want at
I
the end.
usually I usually think I'm super shy and like I'm better with writing than with like talking, because my head is like going in like different places all the time, and sometimes my focus goes to like, you know, I have a question and it starts going somewhere else. But it's good because this was a conversation and it was a pleasure. What I would like to say to my followers and everyone is just like thank you for supporting me and like allowing me to do what I love and live of my craft. I mean, it's been a journey, like, you know, and it's not been the easiest year, but it's been a year where people should be open to like take what's good that came out of this, like how much more humane we've been, and yeah, that's what I like to say.
Well, thank you, Alan. I have to tell you, thank you for creating your art. Thank you for making this world a better place by creating your beautiful pieces, by thinking the way you're thinking, by imagining the way you're imagining. Because I believe strongly the imagination of the artistic community is what shapes our world and what it comes after. So, and I think responsible artists in any medium, it doesn't matter, fashion, art, TV, movie, whatever.
Yeah,
Your imagination and imagination of all other will create a better world after this 2020. I think this hardship that came to us made us all go back, do some soul searching, and go back and really
yeah.
realize what do we want to do later. What is the type of world that we want to live in? I hope people don't go back to what it was before. I really am excited. I've been talking to many designers, and they all have changed in a better way.
I think also like, you know, also the greed of people changed, you know. It's
Exactly.
like we're realizing that sometimes we sacrifice so much of our time to get more of things that we don't need. Like, you know, it's like this ambition. I realized that I was working too much and I was like, not that I can spend time with my friends now, but like I wasn't like giving proper attention to my life right now because I was so focused on work and making it work. And I feel like it was a year that it forced me to calm myself down and like look into the different perspectives and see that what was missing in my life was also something very personal and spiritual.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to
Thank
take
you.
more of your last day of 2020. Have a fantastic new year.
You
And
too.
I hope, and I'm sure you hope for a much better year ahead.
It
And hope
will be for sure.
for sure. And hopefully we'll see each other in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Thanks.
Bye.